Today I'm asking the board to approve our memorandum of understanding with the Sylvania Education Association. The reason for this memo is to talk about things that we put into place for the extended school closure that we faced. Governor DeWine did say last Thursday about 2:30 that we should cancel classes for our students, although our staff and our teachers were to continue working through a remote learning process. So we did have some contractual things we needed to work with. So Dan Greenberg, who is in the room, our SEA president, and his exec team also met with Mr. Zeroff and Mr. Lyons and Alex and other administrators over the weekend to come up with the memorandum, which will be in front of you to approve. I think it was a great effort, team effort, very collaborative. We had a lot of teachers that came and worked on this, and I think everybody's pretty happy with the way that it turned out. If you have any other questions, I do have Alex and Dan in the room, so they can also speak.
I'll move approval.
I'll second. Any comments or questions for Jane or Alex or Keith or Dan?
I have a question. So this says it expires on April 5th. What are you envisioning the protocol being past that date?
I think a lot of the thought with doing the April 5th was that lined up with the initial closing down of school date. And our thought was this is a whole lot of trial and error. We're going into this with best intentions and hoping that this works out exactly as it is. But if we have to go for further dates and look at a setup, if there's any tweaks that need to be made, we'll be able to, because this expires on April 5th.
I'll give you an example of a tweak that might be made at that time. The elementaries currently are set for no new instruction and just review materials. At that time,
I guess the best we can do under these circumstances.
I want to echo that as well. Thank you. And I know it's been a very difficult situation, and you know, we've been working through it. I feel like we have a good plan, and I feel like we're moving forward in the right direction. So thank you.
45 teachers, Dan, did you say, were in attendance?
Alex was able to set something up. We did very quickly. We got that set up with 3 different groups of 15 teachers. Elementary, junior high, and high school came together for 2 hours on Saturday morning, each working in their own groups about what plans they would like to see moving forward. And from the feedback we got with some guided questions, we were able to formulate the MOU that met what their expectations were from those groups.
And I was so sincerely thankful to see the uniform passage. I think, you know, it reflects, not only the MOU reflects the teeth of the educational process in these unprecedented times that will occur, but assures those in our community that in fact education and learning and instruction is taking place. Teachers will be available. The district has worked hard, and I thank all of them because I echo their comments. This was not easy. Thursday at 2:30 seems like a really long time ago as it relates to this particular issue, and yet in a very quick 48-hour time span, came up with a plan in a 72-hour time span. It was passed, and now, you know, with us this evening. So I appreciate all of the work, the effort, and the deep dive and giving up of your personal time to put this in front of us.
I have some specific questions.
sure.
So, is there some, I've already had some people say their kids are getting work for the week that's supposed to be spring break. They do not have to do work that week, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So we would envision that work is actually, there might be some miscommunication that that's intended for the week following spring break.
Okay. Yeah, my son did not get, he said, no, we're doing like day to day, so he was fine. But, and then also the elementary I got though was new. So.
New as in new skills and new skills to learn and master?
I don't know. She's like, I've never seen this before.
Okay.
So, but we got a nice letter from her teacher, and so I think it'll be, I mean, I think they set up Google Classroom, so I can just work through that, but just so you know.
Sure.
What you can.
One of the things that we talked about in terms of assessment and in terms of the things that are going out from teachers is that is trying to consider the students and the families and what they're going through. For some of them, you have students who are now becoming caretakers if their parents are still going to work. There are a lot of different circumstances that kids are facing, and so even as we give the work, being mindful of the different circumstances that are out there, and when we eventually do return, not looking at any grades as gotcha grades, but as that you've tried your best, you've done the best you can, and that we've done everything we can to make this a nurturing learning environment.
Well, I think we just need a message now. Do what you can, but it's obviously a you know, a different time. And actually, the packet came home was really nicely put together, and it came home Thursday. It wasn't even Friday. Like,
Yeah.
we got it.
I really appreciate you saying that, Dan. I think that is really important.
Yeah.
We do have plans for a clear district communication unified. It will be a slightly different message at each one of the levels, junior high, high school, and secondary, and elementary. But once this MOU is addressed by the board tonight, then we'll be prepared to send that communication out to all families, talking about the impact of the MOU and what it means for remote learning for the next few weeks at the very least.
And what about families that don't have internet and don't have?
Okay, so we're working with Buckeye Broadband, and we've already given them the list of our families, and they are going to, they've given us a phone number, we've given it to those families are going to call that phone number. It's a special division. They're going to get internet installed.
So they can get online?
Yes.
and-
Yep.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking
Yeah.
care of that. And what about students on IEPs? What are we doing there?
So that's been a big issue from the beginning, and Rose Gafe and her team of special ed coordinators were working on it all day Friday. They were also embedded in those teams on Saturday, so there was a special ed perspective the entire time. Rose met with area special ed directors this morning and then met with the special ed team at 10 o'clock. The agreement that's in the MOU is that services, all services, not just special ed, but ESL, we have a plan for that. Reading intervention, math intervention, all of those services will continue. There are certain areas in the MOU where there are special allocations for special ed. For instance, we're not allowed to do face-to-face meetings with students. If a teacher said, I want to get a study group over at Southview, no, you can't do that. Some teachers have even said, well, it's okay, I'll just meet with them at Panera. No, you won't. You're not getting a group of students together. With the exception of assessments for federal and state compliance, which right now the state and the federal government have not advised that they are easing any of those restrictions, like IEP due dates or anything else like that. So the MOU actually includes an allowance for intervention specialists if they needed to bring one student in for a certain assessment for state or federal compliance. They can do that. Of course, guidance may change that if we close our buildings. However, it's built into that MOU. In addition, all of those intervention specialists, their job is to network with the general education teacher to make sure that accommodations and modifications are being provided, and that they can provide extra service minutes, like service minutes in writing, writing structure, reading fluency, math calculation, and so on and so forth. So that team, I think, has done some of the most work of any team and may go a little bit unnoticed because we always pay attention to Gen Ed. But they've been really in the thick of it and meeting for 3 days now. I think that Rose's team's got a plan in place, and those people are ready to provide the services. And the MOU is sensitive to that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And with regard to phone numbers, I know that we had talked about perhaps, is there any opportunity for the district to have a uniform phone number for folks to call in if they have questions while the kids are out?
And we spoke about that today. I think Tim had spoke with Cheryl.
Yep.
Cheryl's working with Doug Board and others to get that phone number set up, and then we'll need to figure out what we're going to do to man that. We talked about also doing that for food services because we did put out the food service plan today, and then we're going to have a dedicated phone line for food services with some of the information. And if that doesn't answer their question, they're going to have an opportunity to leave a message, and then we'll call them back.
Wonderful. I think folks having access, and understanding what that access point is, I think that's been a lot of the concern and certainly understandable given the variety, as you say, Dan, of circumstances that families face in these uncertain times. So
Right, and for us to have that phone number when we get the calls.
Yeah.
saying, here's the one number you can call instead of scrambling.
true story. But to your point, Alex, I appreciate in this MOU, and Dan, all of you who worked on this, the specificity about how various levels will be taught, the specificity about the requirements for compliance with deadlines, all the things that folks don't think about as it relates to us educating our students when they're not with us. All of those, we do an outstanding job in Sylvania, and this MOU assures that that will continue, and it's very much appreciated that all that specificity was discussed together, crafted together by the folks who are actually going to be doing it. And thank you all for your time, because I think having a plan as specific as this and being able to address all those other concerns is exactly what the community needs to hear. Any other questions? Okay, if you'll call the roll, please.
Julie Hoffman,
Yes.
Vicki Donovan Lyle.
Yes.
Sheena Saperski,
Yes.
Bruce Lanslutsky,
Yes.
Craig Feller.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, we will return into executive.
I have questions about other things.
About the MOU?
No,
Oh,
aside from the MOU.
okay.
Okay, so I'm getting a lot of people are asking me if they can get in their lockers.
I think the way we left things is that the buildings will be open.
Okay.
So that if they need to go in and get things out of their lockers, they can do so. Obviously, we don't want them congregating in our buildings, but if they need to pick something up, I think will have building access to do it. And this time,
Hours are established, I think
Yeah,
10 hours a
hours.
day, the buildings will be open, is it?
Yeah, they are. The buildings are available 10 hours. In the MOU, the buildings will be available for 10 hours. Right now, this week, it's 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. is when we have people in the buildings. Now, that doesn't mean that students would have access during that whole time. Our teachers can get in. The buildings during the school day will probably look much like they do during a normal school day, where they'll have to come in through the office to get into the buildings to do that. It's, the buildings just aren't going to be open. Maybe, I guess with the exception tomorrow, there's voting and
no, they
No,
don't.
no, it's been-
so, yeah.
Okay, because I thought the access was only for employees, so, I guess I don't know, how would we handle that if a bunch of people show up at once though?
Arbor Hills has a unique solution. They're asking folks to contact them for an appointment.
Okay, I
Come
think
in and
that's
do that.
probably best.
So what, that guidance that I was talking about for remote learning that we're sending tomorrow includes a section on building access. And it says that students will be allowed, but it very clearly also states, you're not coming in to use the gym, you're not coming in to do this, you're not coming in to do this. This is just to get materials that you might need. And then at the end of that, it says, contact the building for times of access and possibly to set up an appointment. So
Okay.
then the buildings, under those general guidelines, the buildings will kind of take over. And so like Arbor Hills has done, they've already communicated ahead of us today to say, please, they gave Assistant Principal Lacey's email address and said, contact Assistant Principal Lacey and we'll set up an appointment for you.
Awesome. Okay, somebody asked, what will happen to our subs during the 3-week shutdown if they were scheduled for a job in the next 3 weeks? Will they be paid for that job?
I think if they're long-term subs, they're doing the remote learning, so those will be paid. But if it was like just for a day sub for like an appointment or something like that, then we have no way of paying that.
Okay. And do we know if there are any adjustments for work requirements for administrative staff members?
I think we're handling that on a day-by-day basis.
Okay.
Just because we don't know how fluid this is, and, we just heard today that there's going to be meetings, for 10 or less, and as things continue like that, we're gonna have to talk, together as a cabinet to see what we wanna do moving forward.
Okay. Another big one, somebody wanted to know if high school students can receive volunteer hours for babysitting, which I think they probably could.
Probably have to talk to their counselor, right, at school.
Yeah, I don't know.
That, I don't
Schools
have that
make those
for-
decisions.
Okay.
on volunteer hours.
For childcare, I guess. And then, are we, I guess this is something we could consider if it's a longer shutdown, but I just wonder if we were thinking if there's a longer shutdown, if there are certain things we can take care of since the students are in the buildings, Like, I know we have to finish the Whiteford group, that kind of thing, is there gonna be a plan for that?
I think it depends on, if we're, I guess the thing is, we don't know, are we gonna be able to even go in the buildings? Are the employees gonna be able to access the
Right.
buildings? I guess that's kind of where I'm concerned. If we can't access the buildings, we certainly can't go in and do those types of things. It's just gonna be what we're expected to do moving forward.
And Shannon, I can speak directly to that situation because the roofing company did contact us about going, because the weather's gotten nicer, to
Right.
go back and work on the Whiteford roof. We told them, no, because we don't know, and we don't
Okay.
believe you have enough time.
If
Even though
they
the
get
weather's
started
good, we're
and
still not
then-
gonna allow you to work up there if our kids are around, and we have teachers in the building. So we put them off. Now, if things change, we may look at that, but yeah, some of those things we will be able to do. And I talked to some of the OPC employees about those kinds of projects, not major projects, but specific things that we may be able to do without the kids in the building. That
Okay.
we don't always get the time to do. So.
Okay. All set? Shannon, all set?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, well then otherwise we will adjourn into executive session for the purpose of,
Preparation for conduct and review of negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees.
okay,